Welcome back to Klepper's Corner. Today in history. April 18th is one of those dates that reminds us history doesn't unfold in neat little chapters. It lurches forward like a shopping cart with one busted wheel, somehow hitting religion, revolution, romance, rock music, and the occasional stolen brain all in one day. From emperors deciding what people should believe, to revolutionaries deciding who should govern, to scientists deciding whether they really need their brain after they die. Today's timeline proves that humanity has always had a flair for dramatic plot twists. Let's take a walk through the moments when leaders, rebels, artists, and occasionally confused bureaucrats change the direction of history. Sometimes intentionally, sometimes by accident, and sometimes because someone thought selling forgiveness coupons was a sustainable business model. Segment 1, and faith, power, and the original subscription model. The birth of Roman Emperor Gratian in 359 AD marked a turning point when religion and government became less of a casual partnership and more of an exclusive streaming deal, where only one belief system got the premium channel. Gratian, influenced heavily by Bishop Ambrose, helped push the Roman Empire toward official Christian dominance, ending centuries of religious pluralism and effectively telling pagan traditions that their contract would not be renewed for another season. Fast forward 1,000 years to 1506, when Pope Julius II laid the cornerstone of the new St. Peter's Basilica, a project so expensive it indirectly triggered Martin Luther's protest movement after indulgences were marketed like spiritual clearance sales. Luther's refusal to recant at the Diet of Worms in 1521 transformed religious disagreement into geopolitical upheaval, proving that nothing unites Europe quite like arguing over theology while simultaneously inventing modern concepts of individual conscience. If nothing else, April 18th reminds us that whenever someone claims religion and politics should never mix, history quietly whispers, good luck with that. Segment 2, and thrones, daggers, and succession planning gone wrong. The assassination of King Athelred I of Northumbria in 796 shows that unstable leadership transitions were once less about recounts and more about actual stabbing. Northumbria was already under pressure from Viking raids, but instead of uniting against the external threat, the nobility decided internal chaos would really complete the look. The king's successor lasted only 27 days, which is about the lifespan of most phone chargers, and roughly the same amount of time it takes a new streaming service to cancel your favorite show. Political instability left the region vulnerable to Viking conquest, proving once again that internal dysfunction tends to invite outside opportunists. History repeatedly demonstrates that power vacuums rarely stay empty. They attract invaders the way an unattended picnic attracts ants with strategic ambition. Segment 3, and midnight rides and the art of overreacting productively. On the night of April 18, 1775, Paul Revere and William Dawes rode through Massachusetts, warning that British troops were marching toward Concord. Contrary to the famous poem, Revere did not spend the night shouting dramatic one-liners at every farmhouse. The actual ride involved multiple riders, borrowed horses, near capture, and enough logistical confusion to resemble a group text trying to organize dinner. Yet the warning allowed colonial militias to mobilize quickly, leading to the battles of Lexington and Concord, and ultimately the American Revolution. The lesson here is that sometimes panic, when properly organized, can produce surprisingly effective results. The Colonial Alarm Network functioned like an 18th century notification system, except instead of ignoring alerts, people grabbed muskets and formed militias, which tends to get attention faster than unsubscribing from emails. Segment 4, and earthquakes, firestorms, and nature's harsh performance reviews. The 1906 San Francisco earthquake demonstrated that urban planning sometimes forgets to consult the tectonic plates before finalizing construction permits. The magnitude 7.9 quake destroyed thousands of buildings, but the real devastation came from fires ignited by ruptured gas lines, turning much of the city into a multi-day inferno. The disaster reshaped engineering standards and helped advance the science of seismology, proving once again that human progress often arrives disguised as catastrophe, wearing extremely poor timing. Among the survivors was opera star Enrico Caruso, who fled the city convinced he had witnessed the apocalypse and wisely decided he would not be booking a return engagement. It turns out that when the stage collapses, the critics tend to be unusually forgiving. Segment 5 and World War II's psychological plot twists. April 18th also delivered two pivotal World War II moments, exactly 1 year apart. In 1942, Lieutenant Colonel Jimmy Doolittle led a daring bombing raid on Tokyo, designed less for destruction and more for morale, proving that sometimes symbolism can be as powerful as strategy. The following year, American codebreakers intercepted communications, revealing the flight itinerary of Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, the architect of Pearl Harbor, leading to Operation Vengeance and his targeted interception. Yamamoto himself had warned Japan that war with the United States would be disastrous, yet he still designed the attack that ultimately led to his demise. Few historical narratives carry irony as thick as a military strategist predicting catastrophe, then participating anyway, which feels oddly familiar in both geopolitics and group projects. Segment 6 and Celebrities, Scientists, and the Strange Ways History Gets Remembered. April 18th also shows how culture shapes history in unexpected ways. In 1955, Albert Einstein died, leaving behind revolutionary ideas and, somewhat awkwardly, a brain that was removed without family permission and stored in jars by an overly enthusiastic pathologist hoping genius might be contagious. A year later, Grace Kelly married Prince Rainier III of Monaco, merging Hollywood celebrity culture with European monarchy and inventing the modern spectacle of global royal weddings. In 1980, Bob Marley performed at Zimbabwe's independence celebration, demonstrating that music can serve as both cultural expression and political statement. By 1983, however, the bombing of the U.S. Embassy in Beirut revealed a darker transformation in global conflict, ushering in an era of modern terrorism that reshaped diplomatic security worldwide. The contrast between celebration and tragedy on the same date reminds us that history rarely commits to a single mood. In conclusion, April 18th shows us that history is rarely tidy, rarely predictable, and frequently written by people improvising under pressure. Empires redefine religion. Rebels redefine nations. Scientists redefine reality. And occasionally, someone decides the best way to understand genius is to put it in a jar. The recurring theme is transformation, whether spiritual, political, technological, or cultural. If there is any comfort to be found in today's historical collage, it is this: humanity has always navigated chaos with a mix of ambition, stubbornness, creativity, and questionable judgment. Somehow, despite the earthquakes, revolutions, and theological arguments, we keep moving forward, occasionally wiser, occasionally luckier, and always leaving future historians with plenty of material to work with.